Hello, 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 everybody, and welcome to the Mary D Talk Show. We are back again on this wonderful Monday. I know it's late. Wow, since I saw you guys last, I left last Thursday. Came back. No, I left Tuesday, I think it was, and I just came back last night. So since the time I broadcast the last show, I've gone to the East Coast, back to the West Coast again. Isn't that nice to be able to just do that? To be able to go from one coast to the other. But I wanted to always make sure I'm back here for the show. But I mean, I could broadcast anywhere, but it's just nice to always be home when I do broadcast. So welcome to the Mary D Talk Show. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Mary D Welch, and I am your host of the Mary D Talk Show. I'm so happy to be here today, as I am every Monday. It's just, to me, it's just a blessing just to be here. I'd like to thank you to our live viewers. Thank you, live viewers. I'd like to thank you to our replay viewers. Thank you, replay viewers, because all of you matter. The show exists because of you. Because of you. I want you to all know that, and it really means a lot. So thank you all. Thank you for those of you that go to YouTube and you like and subscribe. I really do appreciate that, because, like it or not, the logarithms for these social media, they're paying attention. They know when people like, and they're like, oh, so certain people like certain shows, that kind of thing. It matters. So don't ever think it doesn't matter, because it really does. Anytime you like, anytime you subscribe, it matters. So just those of you that haven't already, please go there and do that, like and subscribe. I'd like to thank you to our sponsors for today's show. One of our sponsors has been here since day one of the show, and that is the Dumas Martin Jr. with the Idea Club. He's the president. The Idea Club has stood by this show since the very first day. So I want to thank the Idea Club for their support. Thank you for, you'll see the supporters that are going across the bottom. The Henderson Real Estate Team, Sutton Insurance. We have First Book Academy, Front Page Publishing. So many supporters that have been there for the Mary D Talk Show. So I'd like to thank each and every one of them for being here today. Now, I didn't do this last week, so I'm going to do it this week, and that is go over the books really quickly and the authors and all that fun stuff. And I do that because literally every time I do, someone contacts and says, I'm interested in writing a book. It happens all the time. So just know that there's reasons why. So I definitely want to let you be aware that writing a book is not. I don't want to give you the impression that this is what I think. I think I've said this a lot of times. I'm gonna say it that everybody has a story inside of them. Everybody does have a story inside them. The key is getting it out. There's a story in there. The key is just how do we get it? How do we get it out? And as I've always said to all of you, and I've said this more times I can count, the number one way to get it out is to write it. Just write it. When people tell me they have stories in their head, as I've said before, that means they don't have a story. That's truly what it means. And I'm not saying the story doesn't exist. I'm saying nobody can edit what's in your head. And all stories are edited. All stories that you see that I've written, there's an editor that's behind that, making sure that I have the right grammatical, that what I write is grammatically correct, which, as many of you know, I write a lot of children's books. The last thing I want to do is teach a child incorrectly. So I do have editors that look at my work too. So don't ever think that, oh yeah, she just sat down and wrote that and that was it. No, I have people that are editing my work too. I always like to show the author that I have the utmost respect for. She's actually, this is still the one of the biggest books I think that we've ever published for Front Page Publishing. And this is for Dr. Henry. This is her book, From the Ashes I Rise. It is on Amazon. It's in hardback and it's in paperback. And we will soon be putting it in an audio book, so you can have an audio also. Please support this young woman. She's 90 years young. Think about this, ladies and gentlemen, 90 years young. What has she seen that we will never see? I mean, I get so impressed. And her book is just, it really is a stellar book. And I don't just say that. And I'll show you something. You probably can see. I don't know if you can see some of the pictures inside because it is phenomenal. It really, really is. And this is some of, just to give you an idea. This is her legacy. It's her memoir. So I really, really want to make sure you get a chance to see that. And I like to say hi to Dr. Shelley Dansby Socher. Greetings all. Happy Monday. Greetings to you also, Dr. Shelley. Thank you for being here. Now I'm going to go through a couple of the books, and then I'm going to introduce you to our wonderful, wonderful special guest that's going to be here on the show today. Here's another book. This is an anthology. It has all of these authors in the back. I'll turn it over. There we go. All of these authors. There's songs in there. There's poetry, short stories. There's so much in here. I know. And think about this. The book is it's 100 pages, I think. Maybe. I take that back. 89 pages long. You can sit down in less than an hour and read this book, but it is powerful, powerful. So this is also on Amazon. So if you go on Transformations and Anthology, and then I'll go into, this is not even, I didn't even have, our company did not publish this book, but I like to advertise for other African-American authors also. And this is James Harris. This is his book. And he has another one coming too. He hasn't already published it. But this is excellent children's book. I would encourage you to take a look at that. Also on Amazon. This is from one of our authors. She's also in the anthology. And it's Dr. Ora Robinson, The Invisible Black Nurse. This is her book. There you go. The Invisible Black Nurse. So you can have a chance, those of you. And now I'm going to go into the children's. And then we're going to get started. Let me put these down here. Okay. This is the newest children's book, I will tell you. Well, this is the newest one, which is Justin Lost a Tooth. Of course, I'm definitely partial to this book. One of our sons' names is Justin, and this book was named after him. So that's one. I just finished writing the book. When did I write that book? About a week ago. And it's called... now this went out of my head. But anyway, here's the other book. Peyton, this is from the other son. The oldest son's named Peyton. This is Peyton, the pink whale with the yellow tail. So that's named after another son. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I just got a text and they're correcting me. Thank you, Charles. This is actually the son, Justin. This is his book. The one I just mentioned. He wrote the book, My Cat is a Spy. So this is his children's book. It's the only one he's ever written, I think. I think he's talked about writing another one, just hasn't written it yet. And this book, which is Stuck in the Elevator. This is based on a true story. Me and my husband were stuck in the elevator. We were in Brazil, and we were stuck in the elevator. And after that, I don't think Oliver's been back in the elevator since. I think he said, that's it for elevators. I'm only kidding. He has. This is the book that I really have encouraged those of you, if you own property and you want to protect it from probate, and I mean protect it, because if you've ever had to go through probate, it is not the nicest thing to go through. I would encourage anybody to avoid it if possible. And if not, these things happen. But if you have this, it's one sheet of paper filled out and completed, then you can and it's in here, by the way. This took about 3 years for me to write, from all 33 states and the District of Columbia. The examples of the paperwork is in here. How to save your home from probate. That's what the title of the book is. How do you do that? And you can do that right here. And it is on Amazon also. Okay. Now that I want to give those to you to give you an idea of what's out. I said what's out there. I'm going to read to you just, I'll say a little bit about who our special guest is for today. His name is Mr. Daniel E. Walker, and my apologies, I put A, but it's E. Walker. He is a master storyteller, an early stage investor, and a social change agent. And we're going to find out what he invested in. I don't know if it was Bitcoin. We're going to find out. He serves on the boards of the Heritage Music Foundation, the California Endowment, and the BLU Educational Foundation, and is one of the world's experts on gospel music and the history of the Black church. Dr. Walker is the author of the critically acclaimed book, No More, No More, Slavery and Cultural Resistance in Havana and New Orleans. Executive producer of the award-winning television program, How Sweet the Sound, Gospel in Los Angeles, KCET, founding director of the Long Beach Indie International Film and Entertainment Festival, and co-creator of major exhibits at the University of Southern California and the California African American Museum. He is a proud product of Head Start Public Schools and the Inland Empire. Dr. Walker earned a BA in psychology from San Diego State University, where he was also elected president of the Student Government Association, an MA in Latin American history with distinction from the University of California, Riverside, and a PhD with distinction in Latin American and African American history from the University of Houston. In 2018, he was awarded an honorary doctorate degree from the Claremont Graduate University for his global contributions to arts, design, and innovation. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce to you our special guest for today, Dr. Daniel E. Walker. Dr. Walker?
Hey, how you doing? Let me adjust some of this light here and everything else. There you go. Yeah, we gotta, you talk to your people about what they do in production and everything else. Well, you gotta understand that in everything that you do, there's a lighting man and a sound person, and we're gonna get this. There we go. That's right. That's a little better there.
How are you?
I am doing well. I'm actually doing really well, to tell you the truth. So
good.
Life is good.
Yes. All right. Well, I can tell you, I want to first thank you for coming on the show today. I know you're a busy man, but you still took time out of your schedule to come. So I do want to thank you for being a part of the show today. It really means a lot.
Well, it means a lot. I love what you do. I love creatives who encourage other creatives and the ability to create platforms for people to get their word out, whether it be publishing or whether it be spoken or whether it be visual. All that you're doing is good. So there is never a time when goodness should not be rewarded. So I am here with you and our mutual loves of theater and film and writing and all those things. Come on, man. What's up?
Okay. Well, why don't you? I know when I was reading your bio, you said you're a proud product of Head Start. Why don't we go there? Because you're here. I mean, if you and I know a lot of art. If you look at a product of Head Start, they will sometimes tell you that's the pipeline to prison, not the pipeline to success. So how is it that you've used all of those things that you've been introduced to go on and stellar careers, stellar areas? How did that happen?
Well, honestly, Head Start it's crazy when I think about it, because Head Start was literally the beginning. And when I say that, most people don't realize Head Start hasn't always been here. It was created in the 1960s with Lyndon B. Johnson and the War on Poverty. So I was one of the first people who was a recipient of the ability to go to Head Start. And I'm from Fontana, California. I'm from this little place called the Tracks, which is North Fontana. And it was one of the few places that had a Head Start center. And I got blessed and lucky to be able to go there and be under the kind of tutelage of people like Dorothy Grant, who then becomes this amazing leader in the whole Head Start movement. My mother, Ernestine Nash, all these other people who were community residents. When the Head Start program started, they started recruiting, in essence, local people to become these folk. And they used it as a stepping stone to all kinds of stuff.
Right.
You're a kid just watching these young women, and you don't know at the time because you're 3, you don't realize, but they're in their 20s trying to figure out life. And they started May Pearl. All these people started putting together a world. And I was exposed to that at a very early age. And the fact that I could see those people in Head Start, and then literally, this is not some archaic story about back in our day. We literally, our place was on, we could walk across the street to the house, and then you could walk across the street again, and the same teacher that you had at Head Start was, I got electrocuted once at this store on the corner of, there's this little store in Fontana in the Tracks, we call it the store, and I got electrocuted there, boom, was decked out. It was Miss Nash, my Head Start teacher, who saw me and told my mother.
Wow.
Because she was at the store, and I was at the store, and we were at the store, and it was the store.
Right.
And so I take pride in talking about what Head Start did for me.
Right.
It was a stepping stone. It made me, it was trying. Right now, Head Start is limited primarily to 4-year-olds and up. When it was first created, it was 2-year-olds. So now you're getting access to education, to good models, to food habits, to all the rest of these things that may not be there. I'm saying my family did have some of those things, but may not be there. My mother was on welfare. And the fact that she knew that Ernestine Nash and Miss Grant and Miss Weatherton and all these people who I also went to church with.
Yeah.
So Miss Weatherton was at my, she lived across the street, was my Head Start teacher, and also at my church. And it's like, I'm just saying, oh, back in the day we had this thing. It's real.
But that was community. You don't really get that anymore, I don't think. Because I had the same thing happen with my typing teacher. She was sitting next to my mother in the choir. That I never will forget that. I was always scared of what she was going to say. Years later, my mother said, all that lady ever said was how good me and my sister were. But I didn't know that.
Listen, David Randolph, he's in the Inland Empire area. I don't know where your viewers are coming from, but the area outside east of LA, about 60 miles. His name is David Randolph. Young man out there doing good work, running programs for young people. His mother was my first grade teacher. While at the same time being the usher at Community Baptist Church. And whenever our church went and visited, she was on the door with the white glove. And so that level of respect for her generated all the way across for me. Yeah. I respect her in class. I respect her because she was my mother's friend. I respect her because she was a spiritual person who had leadership in a church body, specifically by being on the usher board. And Miss Randolph, as everybody knew, didn't take no mess. She didn't take no mess at school. She didn't take no mess in the street. And she didn't take no mess at the church. If you're trying to talk or you're trying to be acting up when prayer was going on, you need to be quiet. Right? But people were a community. Yeah. And your sons and daughters are all my friends today who I feel are like brothers and sisters to me or cousins.
Yeah. Yeah. That's real. That's real. That is real. I think that's missing. Because what you're really saying, it did take a village.
Yes.
It was a village.
Yes.
It was a village.
It always has. It always has. No one does anything on their own. No one achieves anything by themselves. No one pulls themselves up by their bootstraps. Of course, there's an amount of self-sufficiency and internal motivation and all those things, and you have to have them. But if you believe that anybody, I don't care if you Clarence Thomas or anybody else who believes that maybe you got over by just, there's a whole list of folk that struggled and achieved before you. You weren't so great, this or that. As one of my professors in college, her name was Dr. Shirley Weber. She's now the Secretary of State.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm just showing you how my life.
Because I'm from San Diego.
Yes, I know. Well, for your viewers, let me tell you, Mary said something to me. She called me and she said, I don't know if you know me. And I said, girl, I know you.
I did.
I don't know if you know me, but.
Well, you know what it is. People forget. Now, don't just be honest. People forget, or it's been a lot of years. You never know. You never know. So I don't assume anything. I don't just take it for granted.
But see, I had a person like her breathing into my life, right? Yeah. And so you're in class, but you're in class with a person who's supposed to be a professor, but they're running for school board. Yeah. The next thing you know, they're your professor, but they're the president of the school board. Then you know they're a professor. They're in the assembly. Next thing you know, they're your professor, and she's the Secretary of State of the entire state of California, the biggest state in the union.
Come on now. Come on now.
Who taught me about literature, but specifically about speaking, rhetoric, and making your point be heard. She taught rhetoric and she taught speech communication. So she was the one who exposed me to the great oratory of Frederick Douglass, the great oratory of people like the speech by Sojourner Truth, Ain't I a Woman Now, Anna Julia Cooper. I mean, all these great writers and thinkers and speakers. She was not just talking about it, but living it at the same time.
Wow.
So all of a sudden, if you as a student believe, well, I got to do more than just my job description.
Exactly.
Because she's doing more than just her job description and expecting that you will not even talk to her about just your job description. Because she would always say, and now I know she was borrowing from another author, but that notion of the beautiful black bridges that brought us over.
Yeah.
That each and every one of us has come over on something. That great book that says that black women say, this bridge called my back.
Yeah.
And when we act as if none of that is in the universe working on our behalf,
Right.
we do disservice to our legacy and our history of humanity, not just Black people, of
Yeah.
humanity.
Yeah.
Because
Oh,
we
yeah.
acting like no one has ever been able to create anything all by themselves. They can't.
Yeah.
And it is always a communal effort. Even those people are benefiting from, once again, someone else's struggle or opportunity that they already laid before them. All these opportunities come my way. Well, who was your dad?
Yeah.
Let's see about that. It's not, you know what I mean? There's
Yeah.
always something. So I don't know on that, but it's been just, when you say about overcoming and how do you, it's been that. I had a mother who willed us into being somebody.
Mm.
You know, like you're not gonna, I'm going to stand here and push and will and pray and everything, but you're gonna be somebody. You're gonna be somebody. You're not gonna be a thief. You're not gonna be out here on the streets. You're not gonna be taking from other people. You're going to be a positive asset. So my sister, some people may know my sister. My sister's former school board president in Rialto. My sister is the president of our foundation, which seeks to help people, right? College-oriented civic engagement, all from my mother's legacy. My brother, who just passed away last year, was a leader in the hearing loss community.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, it was COVID, you know.
Oh.
Stuff. You know, but he was a leader in the hearing loss community. You know, when he died, and you know, he was in the service, and he was one of the leaders about what is it that happens with people with hearing loss, and how do they, and all that, you know. And my sister's that way, and even my younger brother, who's had some issues with some substances at times, is a good person who does good things. Who is the guy who sits at the church and makes sure your car is okay? Who's the guy who, you know what I'm saying? Who shows up at the community meeting with the van full of everything you need, and he's making sure so you get it done.
Right.
That's been just the ethos of our family, no matter what.
Wow.
So when you have that going on, you cannot, of course you're going to slip. Of course you're going to fall. Of course you have times you just don't even know if you're going to make it. But there is the long tradition of that willing you forward.
Right.
And then you just start saying, it ain't going to kill me.
Yeah. Yeah. No matter what.
It's not going to kill you. A financial loss ain't going to kill you. A risk loss is not going to kill you. Meaning you took a risk, it didn't happen, it's not going to kill you. None of those things.
That's right.
The only thing that's going to kill you is not doing them, because it's going to eat you from the inside. You know?
That's right.
Yeah.
In other words, you got it. That's really, if you really think about it, that's what life is really all about. I think we lose sight of that. We think that if you don't, as they say, playing is safe.
Yes.
That's not really living. That's not really living. You have to, as they say, go out on that skinny branch.
And hope it holds you. My
true.
girlfriend Jay always says, you know, sometimes you have to be able to understand that you can be flying and your feet don't touch the ground. And you got to understand that you have to be able to be safe with your feet not touching the ground, comfortable with your, because safety is my 40-hour, 30-year job.
Yeah.
And I'm not dissing anybody who's doing it, but that's safety.
Right.
When you decide to step out on that business, that film project, that book you're going to write, this is about not having safety anymore. Because even if you still have your job, when you put your ideas out there in the world, that means people respond to them. And so you're not safe anymore. So someone can say it's good or bad, because sometimes we don't act because we're worried about the good or bad that someone's going to attach to the product. Right?
I deal with that with my granddaughter. She's wrote a book, and I've asked her, can I publish it for her? She said, no, Nana. And I said, but why? She said, because somebody's going to say something bad. She actually said all this. Someone's going to say something bad about it. And I said, Nasea, they say bad things about my books all the time. She goes, what? And she's like, and I realized then she didn't know that I see there are negative comments. And she said, but Nana, aren't you upset about it? I said, no. She goes, why not? I said, because I say to them, let me see your book.
Let's start talking now.
And that's that kind of, but then it's like I haven't seen their book. So it's easy to say, as they say, throw shade on things, but they don't know what it took to put that book together, to write that book, to hire those illustrators, to all the things that it takes, editors and behind the scenes. In fact, I put on the text message, I have another book coming out. This one is for the middle son, Bradley's book. Thank you. It took me a year to come up with this book, by the way.
But
And
Mary,
this was
I
the
hope you
same
understand you're speaking to me right now. My girlfriend and I were just talking about this book that she wants to write and kind of the parameters of, I'm a person who always like, okay, boom, get it started. And
right.
I know that I'm different in that. I know that. I get it. And
Uh-huh.
she's saying, okay, how do we start that process, right? And we're talking about books and Ex Libris and all the rest of these other things and looking at other people's books and stuff. So you're speaking right now because I'm going to make sure we make that connection about that, because that notion of being, and once again, it's, will somebody look at it? Will they think it's good or not? I don't think she has that problem, but the notion of how do you begin the process? Because that's
It is. I've talked to your sister about this numerous times, by the way, about her book. But anyway, we're gonna actually say hi to. We have an audience here, and they're making comments, and I have to give them their time. So we have first Shelley Dansby says, "Greetings all, and happy Monday." Hi, Shelley, Dr. Shelley Dansby Socher. And this is Elaine Wilson. Elaine has been in education, I think I'm gonna say close to 40 years, and retired. So hi, Elaine.
Hey,
and then we also have here, and she says, have a happy and blessed Monday. We have Gwen, and this is a cousin. Hi, Gwen. Hi, Gwendolyn.
Hey, Gwen.
Welcome. Hey. We have Wybani Page. Hi, Wybani. Wybani says, hi, Mary and Dr. Daniel. I love this. He said she loves your energy and all of your accomplishments. May God continue to bless both of you. Thank you, Wybani. Thank you. Then Elaine, I tell you, and I want to make sure, because and then this is what Elaine said. That was true. Community interconnection, and we have to get that back. That is what makes us stronger as a people. And it really, really does. So thank you I want to make sure I got all of your comments in. And thank you for anybody that leaves a comment. I definitely try to get it in. So just know if you write them and leave them on there, they get in. But I can tell, just like you said, your energy, which has always been, because as you say, storyteller. And then I have a quick question, Mike, before we get into the storyteller part, because I don't want to lose track of this. You said an early investor.
Early stage investor.
Do you mean about Bitcoin, or what did you mean by that?
So twofold. So I always, for people, I consider myself a social entrepreneur. Social entrepreneur means that just like any other kind of entrepreneur, you put things together, there's a risk, there's a reward, but the end for me is the social good.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So if I build a program that ends up serving, then that's the profit. You know what I mean? That it did what it was supposed to do. So I'm just saying that to throw that out there. But at the same time, when we talk about investors, we talk about like a financial community where we have everything from angel investors, early investors, seed investors, venture investors, private equity investors, all that stuff. So I exist in an interesting space. All right. Okay. So on one half, where in my personal giving, in my personal philanthropy, people need to realize this. Don't just talk about some place like the California Endowment or the Irvine Foundation or the Rockefeller Foundation or the Duke Foundation as philanthropists only. You are philanthropists, okay? A philanthropist is somebody who seeds into something else, not just as charity. That's when you give it to somebody walking down the street. Philanthropy says, I'm investing in an idea about social good that I hope then can be scaled up and replicated.
Wow.
Okay. It really is. Okay. It's not just giving, it's studying it. Is this something that we can, and then scale up, and then maybe public policy will pick it up. Maybe so just like in business, when you have an incubator of a business idea, in essence, that happens and functions in the same way.
Right.
So I function in a number of ways. So I sit on the board of the California Endowment. And so as part of that, we are institutional investors. So we control about $4 billion, depending on the state of the market, about $4 billion in investment income.
Wow.
Now we give out in grants about 300 million, 200 something million a year, but the real power is in this 4 billion.
Right.
That an investment committee makes decisions on where they're going to put that money.
Right.
The vast majority of institutional investors put that money outside of Black people, outside of Latinos, outside of Asians, outside of Native Americans, outside of Middle America. In essence, 97% of all private capital for private equity, venture capital, private capital, real estate investment capital, 97% of that goes to places other than women, people of color, and Middle America.
Wow.
Yes. And in most cases, people have to remember, I sit on the board of a foundation, but I work a lot with pension funds. So pension funds are the big movers in the investment game. They're institutional investors. So everybody in California, there's CalSTRS and CalPERS. CalSTRS has over $300 billion that it invests every year.
Wow.
And most of the teachers in California, you put the money in there.
I'm one of them.
Yes. But 97% of it is invested someplace other than you. Don't you think that somebody needs to be pushing for equity along the giving piece to make sure that they then give? Because the difference, if you have $300 billion, 10% of that is $30 billion. And if you invested $30 billion into Oakland,
wow,
the empire, you get where I'm coming from?
Yes.
As startup capital for entrepreneurs who are there, who have ideas that solve real, what could you be doing? So as a part, I push to help folk do that. In my private investing, I give, and then I also have different vehicles where I invest in through certain things. Like one of the things I'm most proud is the investment, both personal, financial, and influence, in a thing called the Sankofa Birth Workers Network. It's a group of people fighting for birth worker justice in the Inland Empire, led by people like Devonna Robertson and others who are fighting. You guys may not know, but there is a health epidemic going on right now regarding Black women in childbirth. Black women die at a higher rate of at childbirth than people in third world developing countries do. It is
wow.
And it was made even worse during the pandemic. So just push in Black women's mortality. Anybody watching, Google, just put in the words Black women mortality or Black women maternal mortality.
Right.
So people have to fight those issues. So I was able to, through some of the means, invest in them so they could start being able to, one, have meetings. Next thing you know, not just have meetings, but go and travel around America and see best practices. Be able to get other consultants to come up to start building their nonprofit so they can be positioned. That's why I say early stage investor for philanthropic dollars. Another one I have is called Our Special Day. So I've helped Our Special Day through, once again, money or my own expertise as an investment or resource connection. Our Special Day is in Watts, and they seek to address the issues of children who live in a family where their parent is disabled.
Wow.
Has anybody ever thought about that? What happens when your parent is disabled in a wheelchair and the extra burdens that you have as a child growing up that way to do everything from doctor's visits to helping them in, and where is your childhood? Right?
Wow.
And how do you, and now we're in Watts. So you talk about resources not being available. Now, if you're disabled, you have to be in Watts, South Central, Compton. And so for me, that was important to invest there. I invested in a group that is the first kind of religious kind of centered. It's at COPE, which is Congregations Organized for Prophetic Engagement, led by people like Sam Casey and Felicia Jones. But I invested in the first kind of faith-centered trans rights group.
Wow. Okay.
So there's investment. I invest sometimes in businesses. So there's businesses I've invested in. But I wanted to lift up that you can invest in the things that do good too. We sometimes are so worried about who didn't give us money. And we ain't thinking about who live across the street didn't give us no money. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's true.
And remember, whenever anybody talks about investing, what's the first thing they say? Friends and family. Where do you get capital to start your business? They say the first thing. Now that then depends on what your network of friends and family
is. It does.
Because if you got friends and family that deals in the thousands, there's a certain amount of money you're gonna raise. Right. Millions, there's a certain amount of money you're gonna raise, right? They're still your friends and family. So you have to expand those networks because you may live in a community where you don't have people who have that much access.
Yeah, it's true.
That's why those of us, remember, I want to let people know, you don't have to have $1 million to invest in somebody.
Right.
You don't have to have 100,000. Somebody out there is looking, they got a business idea or a nonprofit idea, and they need $5,000. And that $5,000, they will, because of their ingenuity, everything else, parlay that into way more than you ever expected.
Yeah.
But you got to take that risk.
Wow. I never looked at it like that. I'm
a part of a movement now where we're trying to really push this issue. So we talked about Black Wall Street, right? We talked about this as Black people. But I'm talking about Black Wall Street with an S.
Yes.
All right. We have to realize, number one, there were numerous Black communities that were prosperous, not just in Tulsa, Oklahoma, not just Greenwood, which was destroyed because of that heinous act, but they were everywhere. They were in Birmingham, Alabama. They were in Chattanooga, Tennessee. They were in Hayti, North Carolina. They were in Auburn Avenue in Atlanta, Georgia. They were in Jacksonville, Florida. They were in St. Augustine, Florida. So one, take away the notion that we only had one, because that makes you think it's an exception.
Right.
When you know there are hundreds, you know that's your DNA.
Wow.
Right? Very different.
Yeah.
So if they could do it back then,
what can we do now? Yeah, you're right about that.
So the notion for me is everyone can. I remember when I used to be so happy, like we got a $5,000 grant or and now I hate to say it, but because I deal in the world of billions, with institutional investors, thousands don't mean anything. They don't even know those numbers.
Not when you're dealing with billions.
Yeah, because it's too small of a deal flow. What I mean is, if they want to do an investment, they can't do a bunch of $10 deals.
Right. Right.
You got to do big deals. So that's why I'm also encouraging people to dream big, because they need vehicles to be like, oh, I need 10 million. You got to go for it, because these type of entities can't invest in these little bitty things. It's too much work to just go processing all this. It's like, you know,
I know. I understand what you're saying.
It has to be big enough for them to be able to see where they can put the money in. It could live for a while. And real quick, I want to define two things for people. So oftentimes when we think about raising money for a business,
right,
we have a lot of different ways. There's crowdsourcing. People do that, GoFundMe, everything else. And there's some really prosperous ways to do that. We have loans, which you can go to a bank and get a loan. But I always say to people, that's a different kind of a capital. Why? Because 30 days after you get that loan, they call on you, where my money?
That's right.
And if you ain't got it in 45 days, they talk about shutting something down.
Right.
And if you ain't got it in 60 days, they coming for you. But venture capital and private equity, which deal with capital markets, is different, because it's what I call slow and patient capital. What does that mean? A venture capitalist puts money into an idea, literally, sometimes even just based on a page, and then says, this is such a good idea that I'm going to invest money and bring resources to this project.
Wow.
I want to bring the best HR person, because that's what you need. I want to bring the best financial management person, because that's what you need. So venture capital is saying, I want this business to grow, so I'm putting every bit that I can into it so that it's successful. Once again, bank loan, 45 days later, you getting a problem.
Yeah.
Venture capital is patient. It's going to believe that you have years of development to get to where you want to get to. So we talk about initial seed investment. That's the first range.
Right.
It's called Series A, B, C, and D.
Right.
Every one of them is a stage where you can say out to the world again, here's my company now. It's even better than it was 3 years ago. You want an opportunity to invest now. 2 years later, look at it now. Looking much better. But it's patient capital that is geared to making you successful.
Right. Oh, I love it.
An investment in you as a business.
Right.
Private equity. Private equity is Mary Welch has a franchise, has a brand, has a business. And now I, as a private equity, come in and say, you're already established, but I want to buy, this is like Shark Tank, you guys. This is, I want to buy a piece, but I'm not just buying a piece. I'm actually saying, I want some people on your board. I have expertise in this. Can we help you grow in this? What do we need to do? Even to the point of maybe removing you as the CEO because you're not the best one, putting in another one, but you still are the investor. You still you still own it. This is, you guys may know, this is what happened with Steve Jobs when he was removed out of Apple.
Yeah.
You know? So, but he makes money, but he still had the issue of the stock, but the issue of his position, because they were looking at the time who's best to lead this.
Right.
All I'm saying is these are both patient capital sources. They work with you because they want you to win.
Right.
They bring in resources. They connect you. You need to do, versus a bank, which all it does is say yes and 45. And come on, you're in business. You're going to have hard times.
Yeah.
It's business.
Yeah.
You're going to have ups and downs and whatever else. Private capital, patient capital, venture capital, or private equity is a different type of capital. That's why we need to advocate that these pension funds Open that up, because you see the difference of
Yeah.
money. I'm going out here to get a loan or money from my friends who don't have as much as y'all.
But you know what? I didn't even know that was an option. I'm listening to you going, I didn't know it was even there. Well, I mean, it's one thing if you know it's there. It's not if you don't know it's there, you don't know you can even go for it.
Yeah, I was at a so a lot of what I do for the audience, I'm a historian. And so a lot of people know me as a historian, but people don't know the other sides of me. I also am a filmmaker. So a lot of people know that because of, but I have a very different history behind all this stuff. So when I was so I told you about this mother of mine, right? So I grew up on welfare. But we were always entrepreneurial. We were. So my mother was always coming up with something to try to make money. Then when I was 11, I started being able, my dad wasn't really in my life, just a little bit from 0 to about 11. But at 11, my dad came back into my life for real and never left my life again until he died 10 years ago. And my dad, I used to be embarrassed by this, but my dad was an ice cream man, okay, in LA. Dipsy Doodle Ice Cream, 79th and Alameda was the yard. And every summer from the time I was 11 till 18, I worked in the summers as my dad's right-hand man on this ice cream truck. Now, the ice cream truck wasn't just bomb pops or whatever. We made shakes and floats and banana splits and sundaes and all the rest of the stuff. So I used to be embarrassed. My dad's an ice cream man. Now I recast that and say my dad was a food truck pioneer.
Yeah.
Y'all get me?
I do.
About customer service. Our route was Watts and South Central. We would start from basically Slauson, and we go basically from Alameda to Crenshaw all the way over to Imperial, and we would end at the Jordan Downs housing projects at 11:30 at night and be in Jordan Downs till 2 in the morning selling ice cream.
Wow.
People wonder why I'm a people person. I can get along with anybody because I can be at the middle of the night at 2 a.m. dealing with a Sherm head in Jordan Downs and still figure out his humanity because my dad made me recognize that everybody had humanity.
Wow.
My dad. So it's just talking about in business. It's about how you treat people.
That's right.
All this other stuff. So you guys know, ice cream truck, kids come running. Some kids don't have money. They don't. Yeah. And they sit there looking at the other kids with money. So we used to have these little popsicles, these twin popsicles that had 2 sticks in them. My dad would always be like, you break that in half, you give to one kid, you give to another kid, but no kid should be able to come here and walk away with nothing because they're going to be, you know what I mean? This feeling that everybody else got some, but I didn't have the money.
Right.
It was almost like he stocked up on those just for that thing.
Yeah.
You know, he always talked about how you treat people. It's Watts, it's Jordan Downs, it's the middle of the night. Sometimes people try to rob us. I saw my dad talk people out of robbing us.
I love it.
My dad talked people out of it. My dad I'm very like this. My dad is like this.
You know what he did? He understood. He understood that they were, it's not about robbing you, it's they had a need. And that's really what it was. And then he was like, probably talking to him like, you know what, man? I got rent just like you do.
There you go. I remember one time we had like $1,000 on the truck, right? And we used to wrap it up in these little, put it in these little cups and wrap it up and put it in the freezer, just as security or whatever else.
Yeah.
And this guy comes on the truck, he's all this stuff, and so we would always make sure we only had a little bit of money showing or whatever else because we still had to deal with it. I remember my dad talking to this guy like he had not made any money, like he was, you know, like, man. And I remember the dude almost looking like, man, I'm praying for you.
But you know what it is? Because he understood, he didn't take it for granted. And truth be told, he understood too. They were so desperate that they were willing to risk going to prison for this.
For something.
And it wasn't worth it. It wasn't worth it.
And it was that, but he was, you know, I was doing inventory. You know, my dad trusted me very quickly. I remember it was just like one day where, you know, he would always do the inventory for the truck in the morning. You have to get everything, all supplies. And I remember one day he just threw me the little list and he walked across the street to the little coffee shop. Basically like, you take care of it now. Okay. And then I came back, you know, and it was this big truck I had to push when you have all the supplies on it. I'm a little guy and I was really little then. And I'm pushing, and I get it all up on the truck and I do it. And he basically was like, yeah. And from then on, I ran that whole enterprise.
Wow. And I'm gonna tell you, not that I want to stop you, but I'm gonna have to. We gotta let our audience have
yeah, but just to say this, I'm really on this economic issue now, and really making sure that we use history to talk about our need for economic empowerment, and to use the same advocacy that I talk around education and other stuff to be talking about economic issues as as deeply, as passionately, and as the ability to make people understand. You know, Mary, I got a way in which I can teach history and people get it.
Yep, I do.
I've been praying, and I know you got moved, but I was praying for God for months. I was like, I want to be able to talk about economic issues the way I talk about historical issues in a way that people get it, where it flows out of me. And now, after 12 months of retirement, it is flowing like that. And I feel so good because I know God gave me that gift to be able to take complex ideas, make them simple, but also to make people be able to understand what they really are and use them. So now that it's being able to be utilized for economic purposes, not just for in history. So I just want to throw that out there just so.
I'm just going, wow. Let me just say that. But we do have to have our audience have their time, because I feel like, oh my goodness. And they're I could tell they're engaged. This is one from Oliver, who's my husband, and he's also the executive producer of the show.
What?
He
What
says,
up,
"Hi, Dr. Walker. Thank you for joining us for joining the show and giving your wealth of knowledge and the things you are doing in the community." You just want to say that. We also have, did I miss Elaine? I hope I got Elaine. I missed. Elaine said to, "Hello, Dr. Walker and Mary Welch. In education, closer to 50 years. Rialto Unified got about 32 of those. Still trying to affect our young people, even in retirement." That's Elaine.
Make sure she looks at BLU Educational Foundation. That's our family foundation that we run here in the Inland Empire. Our offices are at Valley College and on 5th and G excuse me. We do all kinds of stuff, and we would love to have your wisdom and your expertise, but just go online. We have a full staff. We have like 20 employees, but we do work around education, civic engagement, and parent involvement. And so, Elaine, please, it's BLU Educational Foundation. We got some space for you.
Wow. And she does scholarships. She's real big. When it comes to scholarships for kids to go to college, Elaine she's an expert there.
Well, we all know we need this, right?
All right. And then here's dear Richard Nichols says, "Hello, Mary and Dr. Walker."
Hey, what's up,
Richard? Next, we have Faye. Hi, Faye. She says, "Hello, Dr. Walker and Mary Welch." She is an author also, and she is an author. She's authored one book that our company helped with her publishing, but she's also authoring a second book, and she also contributed to the anthology. So, Faye. Hi, Faye. Then we have Inoko. Inoko said she was saying amen to the things that you're saying.
Yes.
Faye said, awesome. And we have Trenda. Trenda says, wow, your dad was incredible, talking people out of robbing him.
Hey,
listen, that's a skill right there. You know what he was teaching you, though?
Yeah, but let me show you something else. My dad was stabbed in front of me, and he played it off until we got to the emergency room at the hospital, walked in, and then pulled up his side and showed the stuff.
Wow. That's amazing. He didn't want you, he didn't want you to freak out.
He didn't want me. I'm just, like I like to say, I'm fair. My dad is the most even keel dude. And watching that, he literally, and it's like, where are we going? Because I always knew the route. I mean, we knew the route. And here we go rolling up to Martin Luther King, as we call Killer King back in the day, you know what I mean? Hospital. And my dad then,
Wow. Was this when somebody was trying to rob you? They stabbed him?
Mm-hmm. He actually stopped working on the truck when he was shot 6 times. So, yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Woo. Yes. Yeah. I mean, that's a book in itself. Elaine says too, Dr. Walker, this is so informative and inspirational. Wow. Then we have Hawita Nash. Hawita and I graduated from high school together.
Yes, yeah.
She says, hi, Mary. Thanks, Dr. Daniel, for educating us in this important matter of supporting and impacting our community to make a difference. Love all the information you have given us on economic equity. All right. Thank you.
Listen, all my retirees, you have the power. You have pension. You're a pension fund.
Yeah.
Stakeholders. And just saying, where is our money going? Look, cities like San Bernardino need that. And we got, you know what I mean?
Right.
We need investment. So you are all stakeholders in your pension fund. Every single one of you, whether you be a teacher, if you're in a pension fund, you're a stakeholder. Right. So you can push for your entity to open up.
Right.
But we never asked that question.
I didn't even know we could.
Yeah.
That's that. Just hearing that today is news to me. I never knew that could even happen.
It's really an interesting world, and what's crazy is most of the expansion in the market that has gone on has been with pension fund dollars.
Wow.
So when you look at all these big BlackRock, also they're all getting this money from these pension funds and exponentially increasing wealth of other people. It's really this total equity issue, which people. It's bigger than all the rest of the stuff. You think about, you're giving all your money and then they're giving your money to somebody else. That money's growing and you're staying right here.
That's right.
It's the most, when people start really realizing what goes on with it and start just saying, I just want to change the equation of how we invest at our pension fund. Right. We used to do 97%. Let's go to 95 or 93. They have this concept of emerging markets, and they always think that must be in Malaysia or Central America. What about Watts?
Wow.
An emerging market? What about Syracuse, New York? What about Cleveland? What about, these places?
What about Inland Empire?
San Bernardino needs, right?
Yeah. Yes.
We're the state with the two largest pension funds in the world, CalSTRS and CalPERS.
I never knew that.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. So it's an interesting world, and I just want to let people, a lot of people are educators, you need to be thinking about it. Even if you're STRS, PERS, San Diego or San Bernardino Public Employees Pension Fund, LA County Employees Retirement System, you name all these things, billions and billions of dollars that they invest every year, and they do not invest them in women, people of color, or middle America. As a matter of fact, they only really invest in areas around LA, Palo Alto, and the Bay Area, Boston, and New York. It's basically these Ivy League schools, Silicon Valley, Hollywood, and the rest of America, the Inland Empire, Bakersfield, Alamogordo County in New Mexico, won't get that.
You know what? And it shows. And it shows where their money is going. Wow.
They're taking all our money and giving it to these people. That's what happens. We make all these decisions to fund all these great ideas of these investors, of these entrepreneurs, who almost all turn out to be a certain color and a certain gender too.
Correct.
Almost all white and almost all male, or Asian and male, but almost always male.
Right.
So these are things that we just need to be conscious of.
Yes.
Just changing 1% of that little number is so much influence coming back into our communities. So that's, like I say, and I'm working on that around creativity too. I mean, you may know this, Mary, and I want to talk to you afterwards. Maybe we'll get together next week and talk about this. So because I work in the entertainment space, one of the biggest things that's happening right now in big picture investing, in terms of big institutional investors, billions, is they're investing into entertainment companies.
Right.
Big time. They're buying catalogs of musicians. Like when Bruce Springsteen sold his catalog for something billion, it was really 3 pension funds who bought it.
Wow.
Yeah. Because they see the long-term value. Macro, which is a Black-owned media and creation company, just got a $90 million infusion of capital from these types of sources. So I'm working to be the person who kind of facilitates from the institutional investor side the connection on this side with some sense of urgency and commitment to it.
Right.
Because you can just be like, no, you need to make this, and it's relational for me.
Right.
This is a person, get connected. This is what you need to be working on. Work these deals. Let's go forward. Here's another one. So sourcing and helping people, because what happens all the time is big investors say, I can't find them.
See, and that's the truth. Yeah,
they say, so I always come up like this. Here go another one.
See,
here go another one. But you said, and then I follow up because I have a little bit of pull. And I say, what? And sometimes they're doing it just because they want to have a positive, story today. But if it keeps happening, sooner or later, it's more and more capital. I want people to look at 2 places. One is called Harlem Capital. Anybody who's out here, just Google it and read about what Harlem Capital has been able to do. They came out of the pandemic and everything else, was able to raise over $1 billion in investment sources, and they are deploying. Deploying means actually making investments in companies as we speak. But it's called Harlem Capital. And the other one is called Lafayette Place. Right? Lafayette Place is a $5 billion, not million, $1 billion fund led by a brother named Damon Dwidge, who raised $1 billion in the first like 6 months of it, and I think it's 2 billion now, and they're actively deploying. And for everybody who out there wants to do something to help these people, they're trying to make sure that the UC Regents pension fund gives. You get from Invest.
Right.
There's all these. The Cal State is a pension fund. The UC Regents has a pension fund, such and such. So I just wanted to throw up those two because these are two Black-led funds that invest in companies that are either led by people of color or who address issues related to people of color. And they are capitalized at billions, not millions, and they have full staffs, and they are looking for good deals that can work. In San Diego, there's a place called Mission Driven Finance. Okay? Mission Driven Finance. And they do the same type of work. There's a guy there who leads it named Louis Nguyen, who people, and once again, these people will not be mad that I'm telling you these things because they are in the business of finding the good deals and attaching them to these institutional investors.
Right.
So I'm just throwing that out there for folk, just as some things, Harlem Capital, Lenox Square, and read the story of it and read what it does and see. Lenox Square is from $75 to $75 million that they can invest in different people. And the leadership, you can see the people, look at the leadership, look at what it looked like. Read the backgrounds of those people. These ain't no Funky Fingers Productions, kind of my cousin got somebody with a, no. This is this person from Harvard, Yale, Morgan Stanley, Bear Stearns pedigree, boom.
Wow.
That's what kind of stuff.
Not that I want to stop you, but I'm going to have to just
No, I understand, but I just want to throw that out there because I was going to leave some real nuggets that aren't just conjecture about some stuff, specific people, specific issues, specific terms, and follow up on them and educate yourself.
Thank you. We have, here's the first one. I said, we have Sheila. She said she wants to make sure she said hi to both of you. Hi, Sheila.
Hey,
and
Sheila.
Brenda that says,
I'm
teach
listening.
you how to maintain composure in the midst of a trauma. We also have Wanda, and I'm telling you, we're running out of time trying to hurry because the system will shut down.
I'm starting to do something right now.
Wanda Scruggs says, hi, Mary and Dr. Walker. Thanks for the great presentation. Look forward to hearing from you at our NCNW Gala event. I
will be keynoting the NCNW Gala event. So righteous. If you want, come on out, y'all. I'm gonna be there.
It says, thanks for all you do for the community. I Can Soar would love to partner with BFO. Is it BLU? I think that's what she was
BLU Foundation.
And I'm the past president for NCNW.
Didn't know.
I am. I really. That's another story for another day. But yes. And then we have Dr. Dansby Socher. She says, welcome, Dr. Walker. Thank you for making it happen. NCNW looks forward to having you as our keynote speaker for our Juneteenth Gala on, she means June 17th. She means
June, yeah.
Yeah, she does. I know. And Inoko says, oh, thank you for not sitting on your gifts, talents, and your God-given purpose. Together, we're stronger.
Yes.
And then Wanda says, hi. This, I think she repeated. Okay. She wanted to make sure I got that in. And Inoko says, you can't find anything you're not looking for. I like that. Trenda says, thank you so much for all. And thank you. And then Inoko says, thank you, Oliver and Mary. I want to thank all of you because I tried to hurry up and get you all through because to make sure that what happens if you don't, then the system at 2:00 it's done. And I didn't want that to happen, but I want to make sure. Did you have any last words that you want to share with our audience? Because we just been like, wow.
I'm gonna throw this out there. There's no deadline on your dreams. A lot of us got a little bit of this gray. You know what I mean? There's no deadline on your dreams. There's no deadline. There's a little urgency because I tell people I don't have a 10-year plan or a 20-year plan. I got a 18-month, a 3-year, and a 5-year. You know what I mean? Because life is different. But there's no deadline. There's no timetable on your dreams. Go out there, you guys. Shoot your shot. And the wisdom that we can give somebody of a different generation.
Yeah.
Do it. They need it, and they're looking for it. There's so many young people looking for it. And so let's step up. Okay.
All right, all right. We want to thank you for being on the show today. It really does. I mean, you have made a huge. I can see all the energy and all the comments. Thank you for. And I do hope that you can come back again. This was kind of short. I think we need more time.
Well, we can do it topical. We can say, this one's going to be economics or whatever, and we'll do one that's on film or whatever else, and then so we
Yeah,
don't have to worry about all the difference. Okay, and then
sounds
we
good.
can bill it like that. You know what I mean?
Okay.
All
So,
right.
like, ladies and gentlemen, that's our show for today. Thank you for coming, and we thank you again, Dr. Walker. And you will be back. Don't when I let the show, don't leave now. I'm gonna tell you. Okay. All righty then. Take care. See you guys next Monday, and God bless each and every
Bye
one.
bye.
Bye bye.